So welcome back to another episode of games I've been playing. I've been playing a lot of short games lately. I just haven't had the urge to want to jump into a freaking 500-hour RPG. I've just been doing smaller games, trying to knock some stuff off my backlog over the past few months. So let's just get into it. I'm not gonna ramble. So I just recently finished Soul Reaver 2. I very much enjoyed the first one. I didn't actually play through it for the first time until a couple years ago, and it's a weird, like the original one. It's an interesting mix between like a Metroidvania game, but with the Zelda puzzles thrown into it, and you have this whole thing where you can go back and forth between like the real world and the spectral realm because you're like undead. So the first game, spoiler, they throw time travel in at the end, which I kind of didn't care for. It didn't feel like a game that needed time travel involved, but whatever, I'll see where it goes. So with the second game, I do kind of feel like they justified the time travel aspect. I still wasn't crazy about it. Like, I'd rather it not have been in there to begin with. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like something that should have had time travel thrown in. But, whatever. But so as far as the game itself goes, like, the first one was, like I said, was a Metroidvania style game with Zelda puzzles thrown in. And in this one, it kind of felt like they took the Metroidvania aspect out of it. And they just, rather than having like this big, massive, or like this big world that you could explore, it was just kind of like, here's like this area that's kind of linear, this lengthy area, and it felt like you were just going back and forth between it. And because of the time travel being in the game, you go to the end of the area, the linear area, do what you needed to do, and then you go back and then travel through time into the future, and then you go down that path again, and a new area would be opened up at the end. So you go down that path, do what you needed to do, and then it's like, okay, now I gotta go over here to travel into the past. So it just felt like you were going back and forth through the same area. It didn't feel like you were exploring like you did in the first one, and that's kind of what disappointed me. I do feel, though, as far as like the Zelda puzzles that I mentioned, I do feel that they improved them. Like, you had actual like dungeons. They weren't like massive like Zelda, but they were definitely like an improvement, I felt. Also, I did very much like how they handled the Soul Reaver blade in this one. In the first one, if I remember correctly, you only could use it if you had full health, which sucked because you take one hit, you're fucked. You have to just pick up weapons and use them. But in this one, you can summon the Soul Reaver and keep it as long as you want. But the takeaway is, if you kill an enemy, it sucks up the soul from that enemy, and you can't use it to restore your own health. So it was like a give and take thing, which I liked. And one of the other biggest complaints I have, there is like no bosses in this game, like at all. I spent half the game just running past enemies just because it's like, why fight them? Like, it felt like for every step forward they took a step back somewhere else. I would really only recommend it if you very much enjoyed the first game like I did, and you just want to see where the story goes. It's not that it's bad. It's just that first one's better in my opinion. But I haven't played Blood Omen or Defiance yet, so I don't know where the story is going to go with those. I'll find out. But I did kind of like the story of the Soul Reaver blade in this one, and Raziel's attachment to everything. So the next game that I played, and I actually did a video about this not that long ago, was it's called Signy All Guns Blazing. So this game was actually kind of rare because it had a limited print. And I saw that it got a reprint, so I kind of jumped on it. I don't know if I should have. I don't know if the price has gone down or not since I've bought it, but it's a shmup, or a shoot 'em up, whatever you want to call it. It's actually like very chaotic. It is just, there are enemies on the screen nonstop. So with most shmups, you just move your ship around and it just, it fires in that direction. But with this one, you can actually use the right thumbstick to kind of aim left or right a little bit, so you have a little more leeway. You don't have to be like directly in line with the enemy. So with this, you have different loadouts that you can make, and you can add things like bombs and like missiles and whatnot. But with your main gun, what you can actually do is you can select how far you want the bullets to spread. You can keep them going straight and pinpoint them on a specific target, or you can make it so they cover the whole screen. So I'd have different loadouts. I'd have one where it was just like that straight line where I could focus all my bullets on enemies, and then I had like the spread shot that I'd switch to take out like larger groups. And like it is just chaotic. Like I said, there's enemies on the screen everywhere, and I actually had to turn off screen shake because every time there was like an explosion, the screen would just shake, and it was constant because there's so many fucking enemies on the screen. It's not really like special, you know. I feel something like Ikaruga is one of the more unique shmups. This one, it's not necessarily special, but it's just solid, and it's not a generic like. I feel like with like a lot of shmups, it's either spaceship or anime girl, and this is a spaceship. But I would highly recommend this if you can find it, if you like shmups. This one is a solid game. Go check out the video I did of it if you want to like hear more about it. And it wasn't a very long game either. You could probably beat it on easy in like under 2 hours. I don't remember how long it took me to beat it, but it was not long. Did not justify the price though. You know, I paid like the full like $60 for it. For 2 hours is not worth it. It's good, but not that good. So another game that I've actually knocked off my backlog is Bucky O'Hare for the NES. I got this as a kid because yes, I'm that old, and I never beat it back in the day because it was too hard for me, and it's just sat around for years, and I finally decided I wanted to try and knock it out. And wasn't as hard as I remembered. It doesn't have like lives and continue system, because you know in old games like these you have X amount of lives and then 3 continues, and every time you run out of lives you have to use a continue, and then once you run out of continues then you get game over. You have to start from the beginning. But this doesn't have any continues. Once you run out of lives, it just asks you if you want to continue. Like honestly, the lives almost feel kind of pointless because when you restart, you just restart from the area you're at. And so that actually made it a lot easier once I realized that. So that actually made it a lot more manageable than most games, you know, compared to something like Contra. And this was made by Konami. So I think the closest thing I could compare it to would be like Mega Man, because when you start the game, you have 4 different planets you can choose from. And when you finish that level, after you finish the level and beat the boss, you unlock a teammate, and then you press select to switch between them, and you have a total of 5 characters, and each one is different. Like if you have Bucky, you can hold down the jump button and jump higher. If you have Blinky, he has a jetpack, so you can hover over little gaps, and his bullets kind of like when you shoot them, they just kind of like go down. And you know, after you beat the 4 levels, then you go to like the final area, which is probably as long as the 4 levels. And these levels are longer than like a Mega Man level because there's less of them. But it was actually really fun. Like if you like old, you know, like Mega Man or type games, I definitely think you would like this. It's a little hard for me to recommend because it's an NES game and it's stupid expensive. I'm lucky that I got this when I was a kid, so I don't have to buy it now. I don't think I'd be able to afford it. But it definitely like emulate it if you can, because it's fun. I would highly recommend it. I recently started this. I've only played maybe 1 board, but I got Mario Party on the DS. I really only care about the Mario Party games that are like actual Mario Party. Most of the handheld ones prior to the Switch aren't real Mario Party games. I don't want to say they're not real Mario Party games, but they try to do something completely different. They don't feel like the classic games, but this one does. You have a board, you collect coins, and try to get to where the star is on the map, and you buy the star. Person with the most stars wins. It's not that simple, but Nintendo seemed to struggle for a minute with Mario Party, because it's like once 9 came out, it just got all over the place. You know, 9 and 10 I did not care for, with everybody being in that cart. But I'm getting off track. But this one is very much more of a mainline Mario Party than 9 or 10. And it actually has this theme where all the characters get shrunk down and you're in normal environments, but everything is like large because you're small. And that's a cool theme. I feel like most Mario parties don't have like a theme to them. I mean, Mario Party 3 did with like this storybook, but I don't remember any other ones having any kind of like theme like that. But you know, I haven't got too far into it, so I can't really say too much about it other than it's Mario Party. What do you expect? So the last game I'm going to talk about is Star Fox Zero. I bought this when it came out, and I played through it once, and that was it. And then Nintendo announced the new Star Fox, but it's a remake of 64, which I've already played the shit out of. And I kind of had the urge to play Star Fox, but I didn't want to play 64 because I know I'm going to pick up the remake at some point, and I don't want to play 64 and then turn around and play it again. Like, why? So I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? There's levels I still haven't seen on Star Fox Zero. So I went back to it, and I actually did a video for this too, but I replayed it, and it's not a long game. It's a Star Fox game. After I beat it, I decided I was going to like try to unlock all the other levels that I haven't seen. And I did that. And as I played through this, I actually enjoyed it more than I used to. And I mentioned this in the video. Like, the biggest problem with it was the motion controls. Like, nobody seems to like them, and I don't either. But for some reason, it didn't bother me as much when I replayed it. Really, the only sections that it annoyed me in was some of the boss fights where the enemy is in the center of the arena and you're just like locked onto it. Those got frustrating. But other than that, I didn't mind the motion controls. But yeah, all those games that I've played, the longest one was Soul Reaver 2, which took me like maybe 7 or 8 hours to beat. Like, it wasn't a long game, but it just took me a while because some of the puzzles, as much as I liked the puzzles more in Soul Reaver 2, I did find them a little more difficult at times because I wasn't quite understanding what I was supposed to do. But that's why it took me as long as it did. But like Signy, Bucky O'Hare, Star Fox, they're all like only a few hours long. Like, I probably beat those 3 games in the amount of time it took me to beat Soul Reaver 2. And then Mario Party, you know, it's Mario Party. Games are going to last like, what, maybe 30 minutes to an hour per board. But I've only played like 1 board. But yeah, that's what I've been playing lately. Let me know what you've been playing lately, or if you've played any of these games and what you think about them, or maybe they interest you and you want to check them out. But thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.